Welcome back to Quadrant 4 Politics, the podcast where we discuss politics while we have fun doing it. That's right. Isn't that right, Matt?
That's right.
Yeah, I got your name right this time.
There we go.
All right. And we have a special guest host today. His name is Mystic, and he is a cat. You might hear him meow a couple times, but he's chill. I don't know what his political opinions are because I can't translate, but I would imagine, what would his political opinions be?
Let's see. Let's do it. Doesn't give an F about anybody.
Yeah, he's a cat.
Probably doesn't have one other... Well, probably a self-righteous liberal who wants things given to them.
He just likes anarchy?
No, he likes things a very specific way, but he wants it all for free, and he wants it his way. So that's liberal to me, right?
So he supports cannibalism because cats like to eat things.
More liberalism.
Because liberals are cannibals.
Liberals eat each other. That's
they
fact.
eat babies. That's what they say.
Well, I mean...
They eat babies. According to Facebook, liberals eat lots of babies.
Wait, are you being serious, or...?
Well, did you hear, there was this real pro thing that... We're starting the podcast.
Are you talking about the AOC thing?
Yeah, where
I sent that to
AOC
you.
was... Yeah, there was... they were talking about the climate change, and one woman was like, this is ridiculous. We really need to take this seriously. We need to eat the babies.
Yeah, you know, she was a Trump plant, though, right?
That's what they say. I don't know if it's true or not.
I'm pretty sure. I mean,
that would be...
even when I watched it, I was like...
I mean, it's either a really good plant or it's like, whoa, that's really extreme. Like, I don't think that anyone else in that room agreed with her, but I still think that, like, people like that could exist.
Either way,
I'm a supportive... I support afterbirth abortion, so I'm pretty bad.
That's
I would
bad.
never be like, hey, let's eat the babies.
You just want to kill and discard, but the problem is AOC just went along, like, she's like, oh, let her talk, and I'm like, oh, not a good career.
Well, no, she was like, I don't know about that. And then kind of like had to calm everyone down.
She was just a little too supportive, but not supportive, supportive of letting her talk. And I was just like, why not just say, okay, let's get her out? But
women's voices need to be heard.
That's even if they want to eat babies. Okay, well, welcome to Quadrant 4 Politics.
You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, not on SoundCloud anymore, but Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and leave a question in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, or leave us a question at the email quadrant4politics@gmail.com. That's the number 4, not spelled out. We would love to hear your questions so that we can read them on air and answer them, because that would be preferable for us. Right now we're doing random questions on the internet. Speaking of which, Matt, let's start with the political compass test.
Political compass test.
Matt is randomly selecting a question from the political compass test. You can hear a plastic baggie right now. He's reaching in, fingering the hell out of it.
Fingering.
And getting a question. And it's going to be a good time.
This reminds me, what's that movie where the lady's part has teeth?
Teeth?
That's what it's called.
Yeah, that's that same production company made a movie called Butt Crack. Yeah, there's a movie called Butt Crack. Super low budget, but the plot of the movie is that this guy dies and then comes back as a zombie, and the way other people turn into zombies is not if they bite him. I'm telling this really bad. This guy, all the time he had a really bad butt crack, and he was murdered because this guy was tired of looking at his butt crack, so he decided to murder the guy with the butt crack. And the guy with the butt crack comes back as a zombie, and the way he turns other people into zombies is by making them look at his butt crack. So every time he bends down, he's got a plumber's butt, and everyone who sees his butt crack immediately turns into a zombie. It's a really funny movie.
So why was somebody so upset with his butt crack in the first place?
I don't know, man. It just, his butt crack was always there, and he was like, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker.
Like it was like somebody who couldn't keep their pants up, always had plumber's crack.
Yeah, so one guy murdered another guy who had a butt crack all the time, and the first guy was always angry about it.
He wasn't angry about... He was angry about the frequency of the butt crack, not what it looked like.
Yeah, he was angry.
That's
he was like, I'm so fucking grossed out by this butt crack, yeah.
All right.
We should get high and watch that movie. It'd probably be real funny high.
Drugs are bad.
Drugs are bad.
But they're really fun. Okay. So...
Okay.
Our Cibral... The next word's liberties.
Okay.
Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism.
You can't hear that one, or can I read it? So answers are strongly disagree, agree, and strongly agree. The question is, our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism, to which I strongly agree. You should never lose liberty in favor of safety.
So what liberties have you lost? I'll sit here and play with Mystic. What do you think about it?
Everything the government tells me I can and cannot put in my body is losing liberty for the act of safety. And same with guns.
No. Hold on. Stop with your whole libertarian rant. Let's talk about counterterrorism.
Oh, counterterrorism.
Because if you say the government takes away our liberties, I'm going to say, okay, sure, sometimes it does.
I believe forgive me, I'm not a big constitutionalist. I haven't read it myself. I need to. I should sit down one day and read the Constitution.
They have an app. I have it on my phone.
The most I know about the Constitution is what I've heard from the National Treasure movies. But I haven't read all the amendments, but I believe it's the fourth one that says something about security or private information or something like that.
Right to privacy.
The fact that the TSA gets to see you naked when you go to the airport with their body scanning machine, that's giving up our civil liberties.
And they get to see your actual naked body.
Have you seen the scans? They don't hide much. I mean, there's you can see quite a bit. You can see how big your dick is. That's for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a problem. Not for me.
I think they might even be able to see pubic hair.
Probably for you, remember. But
yeah, I mean, they're gonna find my secret, and then they're gonna look at my girlfriend and be like, "I'm so sorry." But also the fact that the NSA is spying on us as we're recording this. Like, we're recording this to put on the internet later, but they're like listening in right now. And if I say like, I have 4 terabytes of child porn on my computer, they could knock on the door and be like, we heard you, and that's giving up our civil liberties in favor of counterterrorism. By the way, I don't have 4 terabytes of child porn on my computer. I should make that very clear. Hey, my FBI agent who's listening to all my conversations, I do not have 4 terabytes of child porn on my computer, I promise. I'm actually into grannies, personally.
All right. Well,
I like granny porn.
Do you really, though?
Oh, yeah.
Are we going to talk about this after? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, how is the fact that Mr. Jefferson with the FBI right now listening to this podcast, what freedom is that taking away from you? Because we're posting this publicly anyway.
Well, the fact that
most of what you do online is public.
Through our phones and all the cameras and stuff. I mean, all the stuff that Edward Snowden revealed is they're like people putting tape over their webcams and stuff like that so they can't be spied on. Like, our privacy is a civil liberty,
Yes.
And the Constitution says that our privacy should not be interrupted. They're breaking the Constitution by spying on us with the NSA and all the stuff that they can do. And we've done it. I just got 2 Google Homes for free. I was given 2 Google Homes for free from Spotify, and I welcomed them into my house in open arms, and that's just a microphone listening to us all the time. My computer has a webcam. My phone has fucking 10 cameras on it. It's like, all these things are opportunities for not just the government, but for other people to spy on me. But the government is spying on me with that, and if you and I decide to have a private conversation about how we're going to attempt to assassinate Trump, they're going to listen in, and then, they're looking for keywords, and they will focus in on our conversation and listen to us. And you could say, yeah, that's protecting the president, but it's also like, there's so many... We don't know that those NSA guys aren't keeping recordings of women that they're seeing naked just to, always have their... Like, a girl sends a naked picture of herself to her boyfriend, and that communication's just supposed to be between her and her boyfriend, but the government gets to see that because they have the NSA who's spying on all of us.
Does the NSA require you to have a phone, use the internet, send pictures of yourself to your girlfriend?
No, but they're hacking into our privately owned devices. Like,
Are they still doing that?
We have a contract.
I know that was a big thing. Like, a lot of people say...
It was never stopped.
A lot of people say, like, Obama had a scandal-free presidency, but, like, during
that was a big scandal.
Yeah, that was
Edward Snowden is real big about that, and that's why Edward Snowden is a criminal, because the government doesn't like him, that he exposed that secret. But no, we have, like... My Apple computer, I have an agreement with Apple that they're not going to look through my webcam when I'm stripping naked on it, for random grannies I find on the internet. But the government's like, no, fuck that. I'm going to look at your dick while you're showing it to grannies.
And what if that saves lives? Like, at what point is the right to privacy not as important as the right to your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, which isn't in the Constitution, by the way?
I don't think that giving up. Are you just playing devil's advocate here?
I mean, my answer to the question is disagree. I don't think we've given up that much in order for us to...
Well, I also believe it's a slippery slope.
It is. No, it definitely is, and I will agree with you on that. And I won't say I condone the government watching us at all times, but, we were talking about, well, if two people are planning on assassinating the president, at what point is the president's life, worth listening into that?
I think that that time and money would be better spent on having better defense for the president than spying on every citizen in the country just to figure out the one person who might just be having that discussion,
Yeah.
Might not even follow through with that.
And I don't disagree with you. And I'm not saying, and this is why the answer doesn't get a strongly disagree, because it is a slippery slope, but there are things that need to be done to counter terrorism, because terrorism isn't just a problem abroad. In fact, things that liberals will often throw in your face as most terrorists are homegrown. Well, if they're homegrown, that means they're coming from the homeland. So that means we need to investigate where and how they're coming from. And also, in order to be PC about it, white guys like you also get spied on.
I just think it would be better to, instead of giving up our rights, I think it would just make sense to have better defenses.
But you don't want to put money into defense. You've said so during other podcasts.
Yeah. I'm talking about personal defense. And counterterrorism-wise, it's like, let's talk about 9/11 specifically. More defense would have been, more security on the plane. And I'm not talking about, the TSA. I don't like them. They're ineffective and a waste of time and money and a bad experience for everyone, and they can see our genitals, which is wrong. I'm talking about there should have been more security guards on the planes on 9/11. I'm saying the building, the Twin Towers, should have had more people watching them, being like, hey, there's a plane coming at us, get the fuck out kind of thing. Or there should have been more... I don't support defunding the military in any sense. I support defunding them a little bit because I think they are over budget. But, we should have more defense. Like, those planes, we should be able to turn them another direction, If someone takes control of a plane, we should be able to remote control in there. And, well, gosh, that's against my libertarian ideas as well, because I want planes to be privately owned, and then the government would have control over the planes.
Exactly. So it's...
You know what?
Your libertarianism falls apart when it gets too deep.
I think it's just like with guns. If a mass shooting happens, it sucks, but we can only do our best to stop it because it's dumb to give up our gun rights in the fear of... 9/11 has happened once, and that sucked, and it was real shitty. But it hasn't happened since, and I don't think that the TSA is the one who has made it not happen since. I just think it hasn't really been attempted.
Has it not been attempted because the NSA gets to look at your dick while you're watching grannies, though?
I mean, I could just be ignorant of that situation, but giving up your private rights in form of safety doesn't make sense to me. Just on immoral grounds. Even if you can come up with all sorts of reasons to make it sound reasonable and defend your thoughts, I don't think it's right. I can come up with a bunch of reasons why I think abortion is okay for a 16-year-old girl who is raped. And you, along the way, would say, I think murder is wrong. To which I would say, yeah, that's your moral standpoint, and you're welcome to have that.
And I'm sorry, what's the point?
The point is that it's our moral thought. It's like, I can come up with a whole bunch of reasons why abortion is a good idea, and in the end, your moral point is, I value life more than anything. And I can say, for me, it's the other way around, not with life specifically, but I value privacy and personal rights more than security and safety. So you can come up with all these reasons why we should give up our private rights and security, or private rights for security and safety, and I'll say, no, that's wrong. That's like saying murder is okay.
So you'd rather be able to privately do whatever you want for the next 6 months and then die, as opposed to having a little interference and living for the next 30 years.
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying at some point it's a balancing act.
Because I think that there's research and studies you can do, in the day and age of the internet and stuff. I think that maybe the people who worked in the Twin Towers should have been like, maybe I shouldn't accept this job in the Twin Towers because this is a terrorist destination point,
Nobody thought so before 9/11.
I mean,
okay,
I don't know the studies.
It was
I mean, they were the two tallest towers in the world, right? And the Middle East hated us, so it's like...
And it was a center for capitalism.
Yeah. And, we live in a port that is ideal. Like, people have said that Seattle is a point for a terrorist attack because it's a port and it would mess up the country if they blew up one of our ports. But you and I don't live in Seattle, and we don't go to Seattle very often, and we don't work in Seattle. And that's something I would take into consideration if I was working down there. It's like, I don't live in Seattle because of the earthquake that's going to happen and destroy all of Seattle.
The earthquake that's going to happen and destroy us all is going to reach the city we're in right now.
They say everything west of I-5, and we're east of I-5.
I think that's just stupid. But when the big one happens, you're going to feel it.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I guess my point would be that I would expect the government to do a little bit, especially post 9/11, to counter terrorism. And with the question being, our civil liberties are being excessively curbed, I disagree.
We're answering this from a point of ignorance. I don't think either of us have done extensive research on this. If I was more informed, I could probably have a better answer for you.
Well, I just say, I post stupid stuff online all the time. I will call people out on YouTube or post something. Maybe somebody will call hate speech, and I've never had any knocks at my door. And if Mr. Government Man is watching, at the end of the day, my privacy's been violated, but I haven't personally been harmed financially, physically, emotionally. None of my secrets have ever been posted to the world. Well,
there's a bunch of hacked cams on the internet. You gotta wonder if those were stolen from the government, or they were able to slide in with the government, or government workers leaking those online. If you go online, you can find a bunch of hacked cams of girls, and it's not just fake hacked cams you can find on Pornhub. If you go on the dark web, you can find a bunch. I think you can buy 100 hacked cams of men for $1, and you can buy one hacked cam of a woman for $100 because no one cares about men. So it's here's 100 of them for $1, and for a woman it's here's one for $100.
How do you know this?
I was told by someone who had access to the dark web and found it.
So you yourself?
No, I don't know how to do the dark web. Yeah. I mean, I know the browser that you use. I think it's called the Tor browser or something. But no, I've honestly, I'm too lazy to do that. There's free porn on the internet. It's porn is better when you know the person, but I'm not gonna work that hard for it. I'm not gonna pay for porn either. Can you imagine paying for porn in this day and age?
Well, no, I can't, because I don't watch porn. But if I did...
Because you're a good Christian boy.
If I did, I would tell you there's plenty of hour-long clips that you can get for free. Yeah. So, nobody makes it an hour. So...
That's why you skip to the end, the good parts.
To the money show?
Yeah, to the money show, yeah. I saw something the other day that was masturbation in porn is an hour of work for 30 seconds of satisfaction or some shit like that. Made me laugh. It is true.
It's an hour.
There's times where I'll be I'll blow my load and I'll be God, it's been 2 fucking hours. I was supposed to go to bed an hour ago.
That's fascinating. That's fantastic. Let's do our other question.
Okay, yeah. Let's do it from the eyesight width test. This test is from...
Remind me I have a weird question.
You can ask it. I don't care, man.
How does it take you 2 hours?
Dude, I'm really picky with my porn. Like, really, like I said, it's hard to find grannies.
But are you being complete, like, it's not like grannies are the only thing that'll get your rocks off, right?
No, not. I don't like professional stuff, so it has to be amateur, but a lot of amateur stuff has, like, bad angles, or it's, like, really short, or it's, like, fake amateur where it's supposed to look amateur, but it's not. And I'm sure most of the videos I watch are fake amateur anyways, but it's, like, at least they pull it off and make it look like it feels like it's fake. I'm just really picky, and like it's like
so you'll just, I don't instead of just getting through the bad one and going to sleep, you'll just
yeah. I've lost a lot of time to porn. That's for sure.
I tried to tell you that porn has bad effects, and you said, "Oh no, it doesn't."
Oh no, I think that everything
it rewires your brain. It's same as doing drugs.
Well, I've considerably toned down my porn intake because it's like I do lose a lot of time, and it's like I could be like editing the podcast or working on my own videos and stuff like that. By the way, can I promote my new channel?
You need Jesus, but I guess you can do that instead.
You just heard my personal porn interests, but if you want to hear about my new channel, you should check it out. It's called Superhero Cinema Scoop, where I talk about superhero movies, all the news behind the superhero movies. Look for Superhero Cinema Scoop on YouTube and you'll find it.
And if you're annoyed by my voice as much as I am, you won't hear it because I don't care about superheroes. So that's Riley's little dealie.
Oh, and it's family friendly. You won't hear any jokes about jerking off in those videos.
Really? They're family friendly?
Yeah.
I didn't know you did family friendly.
Yeah, I did. Superhero Cinema Scoop is all family friendly because I wanted to be successful this time around. I'm tired of being a fucking failure all my life, so I'm going to be family friendly.
I once had a friend who said, Matt, even if you think of yourself as a failure, I still consider you a success. So maybe you should think of that.
Thanks. So this question is from eyesightwith.com.
Oh, this is fun. This is a fun one.
Oh, nice.
Should terminally ill patients be allowed to end their life via assisted suicide?
Ooh. You're the one who has a strong opinion on this.
I do. When it was on the ballot in Washington, I voted no on it. We talked about slippery slopes. This is a slippery slope because, well, for one, we're now one of, I think,
so you'd say no on this,
I would say no on this. Okay. We're one of 6 or 7 assisted suicide states. The first one was Oregon. And I think maybe we were second, I'm not sure. Pretty much anybody given 6 months or less to live and is consulted by a couple doctors and makes their wish in writing and goes through a 15-day waiting period or whatever is then prescribed this.
Probably has to talk to like a social worker as well.
Something like that, yeah. They're prescribed like this thing where they can mix it with their juice, drink it, and they die. And that way you can...
Awesome.
Oh my gosh. That way you can, there's somebody...
Where do I buy this?
There's somebody, you should look up. Her name, I believe, is Brittany Maynard. Okay. She was a very strong proponent of this.
Wait, did you just dox her? Did you just reveal her name on the internet?
She's
what
dead.
What the hell, man? Yeah, no respect for the dead over here.
I'm giving somebody else whose opinion I don't agree with, who already died and made her case. I'm telling people how to access her.
Oh, okay.
She lived in California and had to move to Oregon for her final months. I think she had something similar to
this wasn't that long ago, right?
This was like in the mid 2010s, so 2015,
I think I remember 13, hearing about
14, 16, something like that.
Yeah.
So she moved to Oregon, and ultimately she ended up, she said she didn't know when she was going to do it, and one day she was out on a walk with her husband. She had a seizure, and she said, you know what, today's the day. So she got to be at home. All of her families were there. As she drank it, and went to sleep, she told her family just, hey, let's share some memories, laugh, and talk. And I'm not unsympathetic to her situation at all, and I don't want that to be what it sounds like. But the idea of how it was set up and planned is, and I don't mean this in a religious context, it is way too much playing God. Like, way too much. Like, the fact that she got to decide the moment and the hour of her death. Like, now, she said she did it because ultimately what was going to happen was she was going to go into the seizures toward the last couple weeks of her life were basically going to be her, like, bedridden or paralyzed or whatnot. And again, I'm not unsympathetic towards that, but what's happening is the way these laws are being written is creating a very slippery slope to where in some cases it can be interpreted as if your quality of life is low. So somebody with depression can, theoretically do that. And in Europe, it's becoming a lot bigger. There's one country, I want to say Sweden, but I don't know for sure, where you can do assisted suicide for any reason. There was a 104-year-old guy, can't remember his name, but because he was healthy, no doctors would, prescribe him anything. He was like a healthy 104-year-old, but he said, I can't do the things I used to be able to do. I can't see as well, so he decided to, go to Sweden or whatever the country was. He lived in some other part of Europe, and he died by assisted suicide, and he chose the time and hour of his death, which it just puts this really strange feeling into me that people are just, for good reason, I understand, like, their quality of life has gone down, but it just is like, it just doesn't sit right with my conscience or just with my mind. And there's also, so there's the fact of the slippery slope, the fact of playing God, and I don't mean that because I'm a Christian. I mean that just because, like, that's way more control than, like, if somebody's jumping off the bridge, we try to stop them. So, also, how many times has a doctor said you have 6 months to live and the person's alive 20 years later? And also what I'm not referring to is people being pumped up with morphine because they're in the last hours of their life. I'm obviously for giving people a painless death, but letting it happen naturally. And I also say this all with the preface of, I understand I haven't been in this situation, and it's possible in the situation my feelings could change, but I've seen other people, just like I'll never be pregnant and be able to have a first-hand experience on abortion. I've seen, because I know there are women who've been through horrible situations and are still pro-life, I feel comfortable being pro-life. And because I know other people who've been terminally ill and said, I'm going to ride this out, I don't feel bad taking that position for the time being. And
What about it sits, like, why do you feel it's wrong to commit suicide? And I guess referring specifically just to end of your life terminal situations, not just like a 16-year-old killing themselves because they're depressed. Like, why do you think it's wrong to play God like that?
I can't
religion taking fully aside.
No,
like, why is it wrong to end your own life?
Something just very strange. Like, and I watched the whole YouTube video about this Brittany Maynard chick, and just the fact that she went on a hike that morning, had a seizure, and then said, "Okay, honey, today's the day." Went home, laid in bed with her family around her, like I don't know, maybe it's me thinking, like, what could have happened over the next few weeks, what did she miss out on? I can't put it into words exactly for her case or that situation. Somebody lying in, like, a hospital bed, like I said, that situation's a little different, but there's plenty of people who are given short times to live and exceed them exponentially or even end up recovering. I just think, again, and I guess getting back into a little, to make it a little more religious, as you might say, life is valuable, and that goes from conception to death and beyond. I'm a womb to tomb person, so
There's a term for that, someone who's pro-life all the way through life. So you're pro-life at birth and pro-life, no death penalty, you know?
No death penalty for me, no assisted suicide. I'm not saying people should live in miserable conditions, you know, pumping Granny full of morphine at the end of her life, which might end up slowing her breathing and killing her. You know, that's different when she's already laying there dying on her last couple of days, you know. So, I'm not saying make people suffer. I'm saying people...
What about playing God for the better? What if you can cure... Like, what if a baby inside of a womb is going to be... like fucking retarded, like moaning, drooling retarded, but you know, they've come up with a cure for it that's like, you know, they can make that baby normal. People would claim that that's something like eugenics. And there's actually Down syndrome people, I think they're Down syndrome people who like I think there's a way, I could be way off on this, but there were like Down syndrome people who were like, we don't want the cure for Down syndrome to exist because then you're telling Down syndrome people that they're wrong and that they're a problem that could have been fixed, and you're playing eugenics, you know. Do you think that that's playing God too much, or do you think like being able to cure someone of retardation, a baby before it's born, is okay, even though it's for the better?
Well, I think using the term playing God works in either direction. I mean, you play God when you go into the hospital, you play God when you get hooked up to the machine, and you play God when you decide whether or not to pull the plug. So any of the sides get to claim playing God. As far as if we can increase somebody's quality of life, then let's do it. And I would say we can do that by curing Down syndrome. Down syndrome is a disability. It does not mean that disabled people are less human, but with any other disability, we would say let's cure it if we can.
Yeah.
And
so don't you think it's a little bit hypocritical that playing God one way is bad and playing God another way is okay?
Well, for me, it's just about how it sits on my conscience. And I mean, that's how it is kind of for everybody. I mean, is every time we take a Tylenol, is that us playing God because it wasn't around at the beginning of time, you know? Who's to say? But there are definitely different extremes, and I would say...
Do you think I played God by getting a vasectomy? And do you think that is wrong? Do you think it's wrong that I got a vasectomy? Do you think that should be an illegal procedure?
Absolutely not. Should it be an illegal procedure? That's your your body, your rights, right?
But that doesn't apply to suicide.
I was trying to more poke fun at the
you're trying to make me a woman.
No, because you're stopping a life or you're stopping yourself from creating life. You are not killing a life that's already been created. That's the big difference. Okay. And with assisted suicide, the life is already there and present. And a lot of the times, these people are able to walk and talk just like you and me, but they have the prescription in their bag or their purse or whatever ready to take when they decide the moment is. Like, yeah. And a lot of people want to die in their own home, and I've never understood that. Like, if I'm like desperately ill, like I just see it happening at a hospital.
I was thinking of the cleanup, like if you were, married to like your wife or something, and you're like, I want to die in my own bed, and then the wife is like, well, I gotta get a new bed now because you fucking died in this one. Like what a dick move.
I don't
just got one last thing on that bitch. I died in her bed.
It's
all right, we've heard enough of your Christian mumbo jumbo. It's my turn to answer this question.
Mumbo jumbo. It's legitimate.
The question is, should terminally ill patients be allowed to end their lives via
Do we even need to hear your opinion? You're like, everybody should die. Yeah, of course. Fun. Dying's fun.
Of course dying's fun. Life sucks. But
it does suck.
Of course my answer to this is yes, and the reason why is because I think suicide is a right. I think you have a right to life, and you also have a right to death. I think that if your life is miserable, even if it's just a temporary situation, if you decide that situation situation is enough to kill yourself and you're miserable because of it, then I'm an asshole for telling you that you shouldn't. I think that people who tell people who commit suicide that they're selfish are assholes.
You're an asshole for not helping the person off the cliff.
Well, I'm not saying I would help them.
You're not going to push. You're not going to push them, but you're going to allow them.
Yeah,
as to where I'm going to grab them and say, "No, you're going to the hospital."
You know, people always say that suicide is a permanent answer to a temporary solution. It's just like, you know, fuck that, man. Depressed people can be miserable for a long time, and if they want to kill themselves, it's like, in the end, people who say, "I don't want you to kill yourself," you know, because it hurts other people. It's like, yeah, fuck those other people. My life is terrible. Let me kill myself, you know?
I mean, but have you seen the wreckage at least behind?
I'm not saying that we shouldn't try to help them. I'm just saying we shouldn't guilt people out of suicide, because then they're just like, I hate my life, and I also can't kill myself because, God, that would hurt everyone else, you know? And it's so, like...
That's a good incentive to live, though. I mean, there's lots of times, like, I think, like, wow, life sure sucks.
Well, there's memes about, like, killing yourself on the internet, but the only reason you don't is because it'd make your mom sad, you know? You see that kind of stuff on the internet all the time, but I think that those people who are committing suicide aren't like, this has no impact on anyone else, this is just me.
No,
it's like,
of course they
understand that, but it's like, life can be terrible, and I understand that, and if you're, like, you know, heavily crippled and it's really hard to do anything, you know, especially if you're like an able-bodied person and then all of a sudden you become like crippled and you can't have sex anymore, you can't enjoy just modern conveniences in life, then it's like, I understand wanting to kill yourself, and it's not that I support that, but I think it's an asshole for someone to say, no, you shouldn't, you should fucking keep on suffering so that I don't have to be sad about it. That's just my personal thoughts on it. I'm not condoning suicide, but I think you have a right to suicide, just as you have a right to life.
I think you definitely have a right to get help if you think suicide's the answer.
Yeah, but I don't think that help should be government funded.
That's not what we're talking about at all.
For sure.
We're not talking about your libertarian mumbo jumbo.
It is mumbo jumbo all the time. Do you have a question for me by any chance? Or final thought about this question?
I think the final thought is you're wrong and I'm right. And that's just how it's going to be. But
I mean, I can trust that. You're smarter than me.
Well, I'm also more ethical. I'm more spiritual. I'm more connected with God. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm just all around a better person.
You are. That's not wrong.
You should just kill yourself. Okay, that was a joke. That was a joke. But seriously, no. I did have a question, but really, the grannies? Like, what's up with that?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's kind of like a hot mom kind of situation.
Well, I guess...
Maybe I have mommy problems because my mom was such a drunk alcoholic on the couch all my life. I'm, like, into moms or something. I don't know.
So when you... imagine, you know, sucking on that, like, do you imagine alcohol coming out?
Oh, gross. No. I'm not into alcoholics.
Well, you're into mommies because you got a mommy problem.
I'm into good moms.
You just know that your mom's not going to have any...
It's like girls who have a daddy problem want guys who are supportive of them, right? Or do they look for an abusive one if they had an abusive father? I guess that, you know, runs both ways.
Yeah, you know, I don't know.
Every girl has a daddy problem anyway.
The brain's a weird thing.
Every guy has a mommy problem too.
No, I love my mommy.
I know, but...
Well, she's crazy. Bitch is crazy. Bitch is real crazy.
You have mommy problems.
My problem is her. She's totally out of her mind.
She's a bitch, but I love her.
No,
Doesn't she listen to the show?
I don't think she's listened in a while. And Mom, if you're listening, I love you. But bitch, you know you're crazy. I think that bitch knows she's crazy.
Do you talk to her that way?
Like, Mom, bitch, you're crazy. Yeah, I would talk to my mom that way.
I had a friend in high school who would talk to his mom so poorly. He would call her bitch and, like, yell at her and demand things from her. And I was like, dude, if I ever acted that way around my mom, she'd whip the shit out of me, you know? And get my shit pushed back in.
No, my mom knows me and knows I'm sarcastic. And, like, we've gotten in fights before where I've said things I should not have said.
Oh, yeah.
And her response is definitely different. And afterwards, I feel regretful, but when I'm like, yo, bitch, what's up? Like, I don't feel bad about that. She knows.
All right, well, I think we supplied our time for the day. Thank you so much for listening to Quadrant 4 Politics. We appreciate it. Was there any final statements you want to get out before we go? Or are you all good?
I'm
good?
I think I'm
okay,
good.
Cool. Leave a comment on YouTube or email us at quadrant4politics@gmail.com. That's the number 4, not spelled out. You can find us again on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Did the cat fuck you up?
No, my watch blocked it.
Oh, wow. Nice. What did he do? Did he try to bite you?
He tried to bite me and he bit my watch.
Good job, Mystic. Bite Matt. Get a hiss on the camera. Anyways. Ooh, he's gonna fuck you up. Alright, this is super entertaining for the listeners.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.